Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you guys are doing well as always, and for today, I am going to be featuring one of the newest deck that you can build in set 13, which is Great Nature. Of course, Great Nature received a good amount of support, but I honestly don't think those new cards can pull Great Nature to tier 1, as you will still be using a lot of the older cards from previous set. So in my opinion, those newer cards doesn't help you close the game, but what it does is give you more value. So I guess this should be enough for the introduction, so now let's take a look at the deck list. Okay, so here's the list. As you can see, the starter we are going to be running is Blackboard Parrot. So pretty much what this starter do is giving you a free card, but if you want to run the Grade 3 Searcher, you can as well. I honestly don't think Grade 3 Searcher is needed because you don't really have a first right priority. You can write any Grade 3 as your first Grade 3 Vanguard. It doesn't have to be your break right, although having a break right would be nice, but it's not compulsory in my opinion. So before we take a deeper look into the deck list, first let's take a look at your main card of this deck, which is going to be Leopald Reverse. So believe it or not, this is not the card you're going to win with, but I'm going to explain it later on. So let's take a look on this card effect first. So Lane Break 4, you lock one of your rear guard and choose 2 of your rear guard to gain 4000 power and the following ability, and it gains 2 ability, which is first, at the end of the battle you gotta retire that unit, and the second one is when this unit got retired during your end phase, you can Superior Call the unit back to the board. So pretty much what it does is your unit will still stay on the board, so it doesn't really retire. But the retire effect is there because you know there's unit where you can give cards effect when it's retired, you draw a card. So pretty much what it does is you draw cards and the card that retires stay on the board. So there's a lot of value play in this card. And also there's a new ability which we didn't get in the TCG version, which is on hit counter +2. You get to stand the rear guard and it gains 4000 power. I'm pretty sure you need to on hit Vanguard. Yep, just double check. You have to hit the Vanguard to use the counter +2 and stand 1 rear guard. Otherwise, this card is going to be amazing if you can hit the rear guard and stand, but sadly it can't. And the last ability, which is your cross right for Leopard to become a 13k base. Okay, next let's take a look at another new card, which is your Break Right. So pretty much what this Break Right does is also give you more card draw and make your board even bigger. Next, the card that you're gonna finish your opponent off with is actually Polaris from the older sets, because it kind of have the similar skill as Leopard. You can stand the rear guard, but the only difference is Leopard need to hit, and this is when attack. So this can guarantee you to stand the rear guard. So you only use this when your opponent's at 5, because that's where you can't really utilize Leopard's skill anymore. And when I say Leopard, I actually mean reverse version, not the original one. And also we run 1 copy of the original Leopard, which is right here, because you know, it's not a card you're gonna ride, but it's still a good rear guard attacker since it is kind of have the same ability as your Binoculars Tiger. On the rear guard, when you attack a unit, you can choose one of your rear guard to gain 4000 power, and you gotta retire that unit that gain the power. Okay, so next let's take a look at our Grade 2. For Grade 2, we run 4 Compass Lion, 4 Binoculars Tiger, we run 4 Grade 2 Hamskay, and 1 copy of the Zebra, which you can pretty much run anything, but what I do realize is this deck don't utilize a lot of Counter Blast in the early stages, so you guys can run cards that use Counter Blast like Lamb Camo or other stuff, up to you. And for the Grade 1, we run 4 of the new PG, 4 Dark Bill, we run 4 of the Grade 1 Hamskay, and 1 Sea Otter. Okay, so to me the strength of this deck is in the early game you can really go hard. And if you notice you run Nigel, I do feel like if you want to play Stand you can give it a shot, but I don't like Stand because Stand make your deck really weak in the early stages, but this deck is really strong in the early stages, so you do not want to make it even weaker. So why do I say this deck is really strong in the early stages? Because you have cards like your Starter, your Dark Bill, to give you more card draw, and also you have cards like Hamskay, Grade 2 Hamskay, Grade 1 Hamskay, to give you more copy of himself to your hand after the end of the battle, not really battle, the end of the turn, to hopefully let you be more aggressive in the next following turn. And of course you have cards like Binoculars Tiger, which gain power on your rear guard, so you can make it even bigger so that you can potentially push through your opponent defensive trigger if he or she does check one. And then this deck is just really good at pushing for damage and ignoring your opponent defensive trigger, but when you go to your late game, right, that's where your Break Right plus your Leopard Reverse come in, because your Break Right plus Leopard Reverse actually draw you 2 free cards, okay? Because of your Break Right, you gotta choose rear guard to gain 4000 power and ability, which is to retire the rear guard and draw a card. But if you pair it with your Leopard Reverse, because of the Leopard Reverse skill, the unit doesn't really actually retire, so you actually draw 1 free card. So a lot of aggressive decks have problem where they put too many rear guards down and then their hand size is really low, but this deck solves that issue. You can put a lot of rear guards down and your hand only left 2 or 3 cards, but that's okay because when you end your turn, your hand is going to be like 8 or even 9 cards because of your Hemscape and your Dark Build. And once you open it at 5, your Polaris will just sweep the game up. Alright, so this pretty much sum up for the introduction for the deck list. So I have a total of 4 games to show you guys. The first one is going to be with Break Right plus Leopard Reverse. The second one will be where you actually miss your Break Right, which I think is fine, and you just write your Leopard Reverse because, you know, running Leopard Reverse in the early stages is not that bad because of the on hit, Counterblast 2 and Stand Rear Guard, and you pretty much can push for 4 attacks, which is really good. And the third game will be another game where I go for aggressive approach, but I kind of forget what upgrade I write. I'm pretty sure is the original Leopard as my Vanguard. And the last game will be Break Right into your Polaris. So there's a lot of situation like this. So all of those 4 games that I'll showcase you guys is different scenario, and I do hope you guys learn quite a bit and see how those scenario works, because you never know when you might be playing this deck and come across those scenario. And yeah, I guess that's enough talking, so now let's take a look at the gameplay. Okay, so for the first game is going to be against Royal Paladin, which is Jewel Knights. So let's take a look at our opening hand. Oh, that's pretty ideal. You got your Break Right, you got your Leopard Reverse, you got a Grade 1 and a Grade 2 to the right, and a PG against a 2 crit deck. That's really good. So obviously full keep. Although, you don't really want to write your Grade 1 Hemscape. At the same time, you don't really want to write your Dark Build, so I guess both are bad right targets, but you don't really have a choice. Although, if you have both, I think I'll write the Dark Build because Hemscape is really important. And you can see, I put my starter not behind my Vanguard because the play I'm going for next turn is running the Binoculars Tiger and making a perfect 17k column with my Grade 2 Hemscape on the right side, and this is guaranteed to push through a defensive trigger. So when you're playing this deck, you always need to do the calculation in your head. Make sure that you make the perfect number against your opponent's defensive trigger. And here he wasted the heal, which is fine. Pretty bad for him, but you know, it's still early on. There's no telling how the game will go. So here we got our Compass Lion, which we can probably go for an even more aggressive approach. As you can see right here, I can make 2 perfect 17k column. So here, I'm going to run my Binoculars Tiger. I'm going to call my Grade 2 Hemscape, my Compass Lion, and my Grade 1 Hemscape all down to the field. But I'm going to use my starter skill as well to give it to my Grade 2 Hemscape. But what I did do wrongly, which I don't think is that big of a deal, is not calculating how much card I will generate to my hand and potentially overdrawing. And so here, if I get a trigger and he don't get a trigger, I can guarantee to push him to 3, which is really good. So here we get a trigger, that's awesome. So if this is not a trigger, he's going to 3. Ah, that's too bad. That's really too bad. Because if he get a trigger on the second check, then he will be going to 3 regardless. But luckily he get a trigger, so we can't really push for 3 damage. But we still get to draw 1 free card and generate 4 extra card. So that's 5 cards to our hand. Okay. And also when you're playing this deck, always make sure to use your Compass Lion skill and retire the unit that is going to get retired anyway, because that's the mistake that I make when I'm playing Great Nature. The first few times is I don't use my Compass Lion skill and then I gotta retire extra Rear Guard, which doesn't really get to retire to have any effects. So always make sure to use your Compass Lion skill first. And for Hemscape, always make sure to use your Hemscape skill first before drawing cards. So here we have 8 cards in our hand. If I count correctly, yep, 8. So if you don't get a draw trigger, I guess it's fine. But even though if we did overdraw, it's still fine as well. We got everything we need. So we are not looking for any cards. We got our Polaris, which is our finisher when he's on 5 damage. And we got our Break Right and our Leopard Reverse. And a lot of Grade 1 and Grade 2. And a PG as well. So here, I guess it's going to flood his board, which is fine. And he's only pushing 1 damage, so that's a really slow approach. But that's all good. That's really all good, because we can potentially put him to 4 damage. Which is alright, because you know, against Jewel Knight, they have self-damager, so there's really no point putting him at 3, so might as well just put him at 4. And here we draw another Compass Lion, which is pretty good. So here, obviously, you're going to write your Break Right. And you know what, I'm going to play it safe and make a perfect column on my Vanguard column, because I do not want to take the risk and play unsafe, because if my opponent gets a defensive trigger, I might not be able to push him to 4. So here I'm just going to call some unit down. And the fact that I call my Compass Lion, that means I'm probably going to retire one of my Hemscape. I'm not too sure which one I'm going to retire, but obviously I'm going to retire the one that can still utilize their ability. Yep, I'm going to put it behind my Vanguard. Like I said, going for the safer approach here. So let's see. Okay, he did get a trigger, so props on us playing it safe because like I said, perfect column, that's good. And we did not get a trigger. Okay, that's fine. We doesn't need a trigger anyway, so... And he get a draw, and he played Pandragon, that's interesting. And I'm gonna retire my grade 2, yep, and get another grade 2. There will be a lot of times when you guys playing this deck, you will feel like draw trigger is too much. But then when you switch to stand trigger, then you will feel like, you know, stand trigger is too slow. Because you only want stand trigger in the super late game. So do you really want to take the risk to make your early game weaker because of that? In my opinion, not really. But, you know, go ahead and try new stuff. There's no harm in doing so. Since we're still early on in the meta, you know, my deck list might not be the best, but I do feel like my deck list is the most optimal one out there. So make sure to give it a shot. So here, he do take a risky approach because I don't think I'll use the Blaster Blade skill there, because if I get a defensive trigger, I pretty much shut down one of his other columns. Okay, no trigger there, that's fine, but we're going to fight, I think. Unless we get a trigger here. Okay, no trigger. Oh, that's 2 PG down, so you do not want to see that, but you know what? We are still really far ahead, so I think that's fine. And we still got 1 PG in our hand. But I do want to check a heal, because if we don't get a heal, we might lose because he can still use Blaster Blade one more time. Ooh, we get a heal. That is really good of us. And because he's only at 4, we can ride our Leopard and not our Polaris. So here we go, Leopard reverse. And when you're locking, we obviously always try to lock your back row behind your Vanguard. And here I'm gonna call, you know, I remember I do a misplay. I feel like I should call double Hamskay down. Because of Compass Lion, I need to retire 1 extra card when it got Superior Call back from the drop zone. So, just a small misplay there, and always make sure to give the power to your both front row. If they are grade 2, obviously you want to give it to the front row because, you know, when they got retired, you're gonna call them back. And here, we're gonna attack. So, your breakaway skill is, every time when you attack the Vanguard, you can choose one other unit to gain 4000 power. So, always give it to different units so that you can draw more cards. If you give both 4k to one unit, you are only drawing 1 card, I believe. I might be wrong, so if I'm wrong, make sure to call me out in the comment section down below. He got a draw, doesn't really matter because we can still hit through his defensive trigger. And we're gonna stand our Compass Lion and attack his Vanguard and give the 4k to our Hamskay. And because of this, we get to draw 2 free cards. He got a PG, that's fine. You know, that is really fine because we can push for 4 attacks next turn with Polaris. So here you see, I should use my Compass Lion skill first. But I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm only losing 1 card, I believe. So, the ordering is really important here. So, as you can see, I can retire myself, so that's fine as well. Oh, those are really bad draws. I draw 2 free cards into 2 draw trigger. And what I forget is, like I mentioned, yep, when you call back your Compass Lion, you got to retire 1 extra card. So, misplay there. Okay, so here, he decided to use his gun slot, which we kind of predicted because, you know, 2 perfect armor blast, obviously he want to go for the Blaster Blade, but luckily we checked the heal, otherwise we would be dead right now. Okay, so here we are pretty much going to survive, so we are just praying to God he don't check a heal trigger, because if he don't, he will need 2 PG to survive. How is he going to attack first? That's interesting. I guess this attack kind of denied my heal if he did check a heal. So, it's a pretty alright play. So let's see, is he gonna check anything? Ooh, no trigger, that's really bad for him. I have no clue how many heal triggers he left in his deck. I think 3. So that's pretty unlucky of him, but that's too bad, I guess. And we got Dark Build, which doesn't really matter because this is our final turn. So when you go for a Polaris, that is where you are going all in, because your Polaris can stand a grade 2 or even a grade 3, but at the end of the turn it's going to get retired, so your defense is going to get thinner. So it's a final turn play. And here, always make sure to make a perfect 21k column, even the opponent is at 5 damage in case he's 6 damage shield. So here I'm going to stand my Leopard reverse. And let's see what I twin drive. A draw? Okay, that's pretty good. Although it's not necessary. Ooh, into our PG, so... And that's game, he don't even have a single PG, so he need 2 heals to survive. Can he check it? And he did not, and that is game 1 going to us. So this pretty much is how you want the ideal deck to work. But not always you will have your break right into your Leopard reverse. That is why I have multiple games to show you guys. So this kind of concludes the first game, and I guess we should take a look at game 2. Okay, so for the second game, it's gonna be against Nova Grappler, which is a really good deck on the previous season, but no clue how Nova stand right now. Okay, a pretty decent hand, I guess. I guess we can mulligan 1 grade 3 away. And we got a Polaris, which is fine. It's really fine. The important thing is getting Hemske grade 1 or grade 2 in your hand and hopefully pop it on your turn 2. And we did get a grade 2, that's really good. And I feel I should put it not behind my Vanguard, but I think I'm going to put it there anyways. Let's see. Yep, I don't think I should put it there, but I think it's okay. It's not that bad. Okay, he at 7k, which is good because there's a lot of grade 1 7k out there right now. No one play 8k vanilla, which is good for us because of our gain 4k power plus Hemske. Grade 2 is going to be a perfect 12k column. Ooh, Duck Bill. We want the Duck Bill, man. We really want the Duck Bill. Ooh, another Compass Lion, but I'm going to write my... Really? I don't like that play. Okay, I guess that is fine. You know what I'm thinking to do is riding the Compass Lion and use my starter skill to give it Hemske. This way I generate 3 cards instead of 2. But I guess staying at the 11k Vanguard is fine as well because this pretty much prevents my opponent from pushing for more damage. So either one works fine as well, I think. So here he write a 10k vanilla, which should be fine. And they have no grade 2, okay. What I need right now is grade 1, because you need grade 1 to push for more damage, otherwise you can't really make big numbers. Okay, no trigger, that's okay. And I guess it's not drop drawing, so pretty much he got everything he need, I guess. And we get a grade 1, but it's not something we want to call, but we're gonna write our Leopard reverse regardless. And I'm gonna call my Hemske down, because I can attack his rear guard with Hemske. And oh, this is actually tough. This is actually tough to make a perfect column, because we don't have the grade 1. If we have grade 1, we can make so many good plays. Okay. So give the power to Hemske. And then you attack with a Hemske. So that when your Hemske stat is going to be 16k. And if I get a trigger, it's going to make a perfect 21k column. That's a really good play. And we did get a trigger, so that's good. But it's still a play that we rely on trigger. Ooh, double trigger. That means we guarantee it's going to push him to 5 damage if you don't check a heal. That's amazing. Ooh, that's 2 PG down. That is so good. Damn, a 26 attack with Hemske. That is a really good attack. 3 checks, no trigger. That is gonna hurt for him. Doesn't really matter which one I use, but always use the Hemske skill if you have other skill in it as well. Okay, so here he's going for his break, right? Which is fine. You know, against Nova Grappler, you want to push them as hard as you can, so that they don't have time to do their combo. Because you can see, they're going for their break right now, but they're at 5 damage. And if he push me to 4, he's gonna get wrecked by Leopard. Not Leopard, he's gonna get wrecked by Polaris. So I'm hoping I don't get a trigger here. That is good. Is he gonna put me to 4? Okay, he is. So he's not playing around Polaris, which is fine because he must be thinking Leopard reverse can't use the count plus 2 to stand anymore since he's at 5. But what he is missing is I'm playing Polaris as well. Okay, so here, it's time to go for the final turn, and we got 3 PGs, Jesus Christ. Okay, Polaris for the win, guys, Polaris for the win. But sadly, one of my Hemske can't attack, so I need a booster, so I think I'm gonna call my PG down since it is my final turn, so let's just go for it. Compass Lion, yep. I guess we can use the Parrot skill as well, since we don't really need the booster and it doesn't really make any difference. Although we will get wrecked by a 6 damage shield because we don't have a perfect column. Okay, let's go Polaris. Stand the Hemsky. Yep. Okay, no trigger is fine, we don't really need any trigger. And he don't even have any more PG, that's good. Please no heal. And that is game. So as shown, you don't have to need your Break Right to win because you know, Leopard Reverse is really good in the early stages as well because of the Counter Blast 2 stand's ability. And I guess this concludes game 2. So now, let's take a look at game 3. Okay, so game 3 is going to be against OTT, which is Origa Ting Tang, which got support in set 13, but I'm not a fan to be honest. I'm not a fan. Ooh, that's a really good hand. We are just missing grade 3. I can be greedy and full keep this hand. I could be greedy because I can generate more cards with Dark Bill. But I guess I'm going for a safer approach. That's interesting. And he played grade 3 Searcher as well. Okay. And going first or second doesn't really matter because you can still be aggressive regardless. And here I'm seeing a really good play in my head right now because I can write my 7k grade 2 as a Vanguard and make 2 columns that can hit through his 6k Vanguard really easily. If we got another grade 1. If we get Dark Bill, our board will be insane. Just saying. If we top deck a Dark Bill, we can do some really amazing play. Holy shit! What did I just say? Now I'm gonna write my grade 2 Zebra, and because of my Dark Bill I can make a perfect 16k column, and with Binoculars Tiger I can make another perfect column. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. This is gonna be an amazing play. Compass Lion, that's even better! Because I can make a perfect 21k column, which beats through a defensive trigger. Wow. How perfect can it get? That is the perfect scenario on your turn 2. Yep, call your Hemsky there. And I'm gonna use my starter skill to use on Hemsky. And I'm gonna call perfect 16k column with my Dark Bill and Binoculars Tiger. And obviously you want to give off the effect to your Hemsky. Wow, we're gonna push him to 3 this turn. That's amazing. Because even if he get a trigger, he's still going to 3 unless you check a heal. That's a different story. And here he did check a trigger, which doesn't really matter. And as you can see, our board is pretty much full and we only have 2 cards in our hand. But when we end our turn, we are gonna get 6 cards. And always use your Compass Lion skill, okay? Don't forget. And use your Hemsky skill first, which is to get 2 copies of himself. And then you draw 2 more cards. And we got more Dark Bill, that's good. Dark Bill is amazing because it generates more cards. Oh, he's right at 8k, he's running all those low power Vanguard and he's gonna get punished for that. But he might not have any other choice, I guess. Wait, what? That's all he's gonna do? Does he don't have any other grade 2? Oh my god. That kinda sucked for him. And here, you know what? I'm gonna write my Leopard. You know why? Because I can't even use my Leopard with a skill anyways. And if I write my Leopard skill... No, if I write Leopard, I can use its skills, which is better. Okay, so I'm gonna call a Dark Bill behind my Vanguard. But first, you want to call your Hemsky, because you want to target your Hemsky with your Dark Bill skill. And here, we can potentially close the game if you don't have any PG, just saying. Okay, just saying. Because all of the power is going to go to Hemsky, and we're going to make a 20k column, so we can beat through a defensive trigger as well. If we get a trigger. Okay, we did. That's really good. Oh, double trigger. Doesn't really matter though, we just need 1. So does he have PG in his hand? He doesn't! Wow, that is a quick game. Damn. And just like that, we won. It's that simple. It's really that simple. There will be a lot of times where you win games really fast with Great Nature just because if you have the hand to go for the early aggression, you can just go for it. And you can still get the card back to your hand and be aggressive on your next following turn. And I guess this concludes game 3, so now let's take a look on the last game. Okay, so last game against MLB, which they did get one support, just one extra card, which is Exculpate the Blaster, which is not easy to utilize, just saying. That's a pretty solid hand as well. Just missing a Great Tree, and I do feel like keeping the PG. This is tough. Mulligan 1, Mulligan 2. I think I'm gonna Mulligan 2. Yep. I do want to keep the PG though, because you know, against deck that have 2 crits, you do want a PG. I think this is fine. Oh, I threw the PG away, really? Okay. Because I know I'm gonna get the PG back, I guess. So we have 1000 Dark Blue in our hand, which is not helping, because we don't have any rear guards that can retire our rear guards. Okay, let's see. Is he gonna use his Lian skill? If he don't, we pretty much know that he have everything, but he dropped a MLB. That means he's only missing Blaster, I assume, and we draw a Great Tree, which is good. Doesn't matter what Great Tree, like I say. A Great Tree is fine. And where am I gonna put the starter? Most of the time you're gonna put it behind your Vanguard unless you can make perfect column with your starter at your left or right column. So here I'm gonna take it slow on the first turn because, you know, if you're going second on your turn 1, there's really not much you can do. Since you don't run the Binoculars Tiger Grade 1 version. Which I don't recommend, okay? I don't recommend that. Because that is an attack skill and Grade 1 you want it to boost. And here you write Blaster Blade, okay. And he's such another blade. Okay, so he's just missing a dark, I guess, which I think he have everything he need, to be honest. And because he get the trigger, he is guaranteed to put me to 2, and we did draw another PG, which is good because we can pretty much buy ourselves more time when he set up his NLB. Oh, okay. I think we can make a perfect column here because we got Binoculars Tiger. Yep. And I'm going to use my starter skill as well to draw myself more cards. And I feel like I should call the Grade 2 out as well. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to overdraw. Am I going to overdraw? I'm going to get 5 cards in my hand. So I'm going to go to 8 cards in my hand again. But at least we can put into 3 damage if we don't check a heal. So I think it's okay. And I check a draw, so this is where you don't really want to check your draw trigger, but you never know when you're going to check a draw trigger. So it can't really be helped. And we are going to go to 9 cards in our hand, so we're going to mill a card, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. Because we always have the PG we need, we got a break right, and we got something that we can close the game out, which is Polaris. So as you can see, pretty much 1 card traded for 5 cards. That's insane value. And we got a 3rd PG as well, so doesn't really care if I mill any more cards. Because 3 PG should buy us more than enough time to close the game out. With Polaris at least. And here comes his MLB with his Blaster Blade and Blaster Dark. And he's gonna put us to 5. So the only thing I'm hoping is he don't check a heal trigger, otherwise it's gonna be really bad. And there's a lag there, okay, that's fine. Oh, we check a heal, that's amazing! Wow, that's some perfect timing. Holy shit! Double heal. Okay, I'm pretty sure I win because of that. Damn, those double heal are insane. Okay, break right, let's go! And I want to make perfect columns, so I guess Hamscare and a Binoculars Tiger. And if we get 2 trigger, we can potentially make him drop a PG, but I highly doubt that will happen. Oh, that's the first one. Can we get another one? We didn't, that's fine. We can still put him to 5, which is really good. And depends on the amount of PG he has in his hand, we might be able to close the game out next turn. Ooh, he's not checking his heal as well. That's really bad for him, but really good for us, so here I retire my grade 1 because there's no more grade 2 Hemscape to search. And I have a lot of grade 1 booster in my hand, so I guess that's a fine retire. Okay, grade 3 searcher, hopefully trying to search for a gun slot, I believe, but he didn't get any grade 3. Wow, that's pretty unlucky for him. Okay, he has Star-Crossed Trumpeter, that means he's gonna have 2 grade 2 in his front row, which is fine because we have 4 attacks. And if we have 4 attacks, he will need 2 PG to survive. And he have no more Counter Blast, that's really good as well because he can't use any more Blaster Blade skill unless you check 2 heal triggers. So here the bad thing is, he don't have a booster in his back row of his Vanguard, and because of that, his Blaster Blade column is dead, he can't really attack, so I don't think he should use his Counter Blast there, but you know what, you do you. And he checked an RPG as well if you notice, that means there's a good chance he will be dead this turn. And like I say, right, if your opponent's at 5, there's really no point going for your Leopard reverse. That's where your Polaris comes in. And even though your Polaris do retire your rearguard, especially your grade 2 in your front row, but you can see my hand I have 3 PG, so do I really need those grade 2 in my front row? Not really. And let's see, does he have 2 PG in his hand? Because if he don't, he's dead. But if he have 2 PG, we can still survive and kill him on his next turn. So we're looking at a really fantastic spot right now. And I just realized a mistake. I should call my Dark Bill behind my Compass Lion and stand the Compass Lion. Actually, you know what? It doesn't really matter because of the Break Right skill. Okay, that's fine I guess because we can still hit through his heal trigger if needed. But he have a PG, so it doesn't really matter. So, do you have another one, my friend? And he don't, and that is game. And if you notice, all of my Break Right gain 4k power is all going to the same unit. Oh my god, did he check a heal trigger? He did. That's fine, that's fine. I can still survive, it doesn't really matter. So like I was saying, all of the when I attack the Vanguard gain 4000 power, all go to 1 unit just because I don't have my Leopard reverse and I can't really revive those units when they got retired. So by giving all the 4k to 1 unit, I'm only retiring 1 unit and I only draw 1 card, I believe. Oh, did I draw 2? That's interesting. Okay, so he did check a heal. But like I said, we are still in a really good spot right now. And you have 3 cards in his hand. So it really depends how many grade 2 we have. Oh, he have 2 more grade 2, but he don't have any grade 1 booster, and because of that, he will need a trigger to actually make me drop my second PG. And that's his last PG, I believe. And he got a trigger, that's fine, because we already win the game, since he have no more PG left in his hand, if I count correctly. And yeah, there's really not much explanation needed, so just sit back, relax, and watch me close the game out. Also, since you know you're gonna retire rearguard anyway, so there's been no point calling 2 grade 2, so I did call 1 grade 3 instead. And let's see, are you gonna check any more heal trigger because you need 2 heal trigger to survive unless somehow you got another PG in your hand, which I don't think you do. Okay, I draw a trigger. And you see, we almost deck out, we left 4 cards in our deck, so running 9 draw will almost make you deck out, but I didn't really deck out a single time out of all my games that I play so far. And I guess this concludes the whole Great Nature Leopard Reverse deck guide video. And same as always, I do hope you guys enjoy and learn quite a bit on how or what to do on different kind of situation as shown. And make sure to leave a comment letting me know what are your thoughts on this deck or even on this list in general. And yeah, this should be it. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for next video. Goodbye.